Swiggity Swooty, I'm coming for that booty. Swiggity Swooty, I'm coming for that booty. On my way to steal your girl.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. The tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my...
It is 2018, and there are still members in the community who vocally complain about backstabs of all things in Dark Souls 3. Apparently, fishing for backstabs is cheap, abusing an exploit, and just generally something only a dirty, scummy tryhard would do. The fact that at this point, some people like Project Goof have gotten really good at backstabbing and are teaching their fisherman ways to others via YouTube videos only aggravates this. Granted, most comments on their videos and Reddit threads are positive, but you can bet your ass that at some point someone will pop up who will, in the most jarring manner imaginable, tell the OP how in their mind he ruins the game by abusing this broken mechanic. Even though I usually just laugh it off as the absurdity that it is to view backstabs in Dark Souls 3 as such a problem, I decided to make this video on it just to have that off my chest and mind. What you see in the background is me in one of my fishing sessions, induced by watching another one of Goof's videos, which I find to be very inspiring. I will immediately say that I'm not particularly good at fishing. I can't do any of the fancy stuff Goof does. I'm pretty much limited to simple run-up, roll or pivot backstabs. And that is simply because I do not practice backstab fishing all that much. And the reason for that is what I want to emphasize in this video. Let me explain. If you know me, you know that I am indeed what you can justifiably call a tryhard, and I wear this label with pride. I started out in Dark Souls 3 as a tryhard duelist, and when I had enough of that and turned to invasions, I approached them with the same tryhard mindset as I did with duels. You can call it the Scott Jund approach, if you will. I like everything that is consistently safe, effective and efficient. I also don't have the slightest problem with using glitches and unintended game behavior to my advantage. This is something that characterized high-level Souls PvP from the beginning, no matter if you're talking about toggle escapes in Dark Souls 1, quick attacks in Dark Souls 2, or the Bloodlust weapon art transfer in Dark Souls 3 when that still worked. And as a glitch-abusing tryhard, I can tell you up front that backstab fishing in Dark Souls 3 is none of those things. It is not safe, it is not efficient, and it is not an exploit. It is the complete and utter opposite of that. If you want to win and in this sense play this game correctly, what you employ is what Goof calls the rustic playstyle that characterizes high-level duels. You never attack first. You are a passive, reactive bitch and you only ever punish whiffs. That is it. That is the safe, efficient and effective playstyle of Dark Souls 3. And I will admit that this is indeed a sad reality, but it is the reality. Backstabs, meanwhile, require you to be active and aggressive. Outside of marginal exceptions, you won't ever get backstabs when you're only reacting to your opponent. To get them, you have to condition your opponent, bait out a certain behavior, and proactively approach them in a way that lets you get their booty. And every time you do approach them, you put yourself at a high risk. Not only do you have to move into their attack range for that, But the backstab grab also puts you into a half a second long animation which you cannot cancel on your own and which leaves you completely vulnerable. A potential death sentence if several people are hacking away at you. Your reward in terms of damage done to your opponent, even with a chaos-infused dagger or rapier and the hornet ring meanwhile, is roughly the equivalent of 2 R1 combos with a dark-infused Lothric Knightsword, and I guarantee you that the latter is a lot easier to get than the former. This not the least because defending against backstabs is so hilariously easy in Dark Souls 3. Just don't stand there and mash R1 like an idiot. That's it. All you have to do is casually walk forward, roll, kick, just do something other than blindly mashing your attack buttons. It is mind-boggling to me how so many people complain about how effective R1 spamming is in this game, but then also complain about a mechanic like backstabs, which punish exactly that. For the last point I want to make, let's talk about face stabs. The phenomenon that leads people to call backstabs an exploit or the backstabber a laggy piece of shit. Abkoha, one of the best Dark Souls 2 players back in the day, used to have a great video on that on his channel, which now unfortunately is deleted, but it has been demonstrated elsewhere a lot too. Face stabs do not happen because of lag. If you ever went fishing yourself, you would know that lag makes backstabs nearly impossible to get, or because of an exploit of the game mechanics. They happen in PvE for crying out loud, and they are simply the result of measures the devs intentionally put into the game to make backstabs weaker and harder to get compared to the insta-stabs in Dark Souls 1. And they did that with the grab animation and the associated two-way check. Backstabs in Dark Souls 2 and 3 work like this. On your screen, you are behind your opponent's back and press R1. So the game initiates the backstab grab animation. As soon as this happens, the game only checks for two things. Is your opponent still within a certain distance? And are they in iframes? If the answer to the first question is yes, and to the second no, then you get the backstab. The orientation of your opponent does not matter. Even if at this point they have turned around to face you, they will get backstabbed if they are close enough and not in iframes. This is simply how the game works. It is an effect of the very much intended game mechanics and has nothing to do with the lag or an exploit. It very well may look wonky at times. Again, it can do so even in PvE. But that is the price we have to pay for not having insta-backstabs like we did in Dark Souls 1, something I can't imagine many people want to have back. So please, for the love of God, just stop standing there and mashing R1 when you see someone running around like a headless chicken with a shield up and a dagger or rapier in his hand. Just do anything, move, roll, kick, anything, and you won't have to disconnect and make an angry Reddit thread about those filthy, OP, tryhard backstab fishers. For the end of this video, I have put in a clip that shows me actually going full tryhard in an invasion to contrast this with how it looks like when I'm fishing. I run away, space a lot, punish whiffs, and that's about it. You decide if you rather want to fight this, or me as a fisherman who goes in hard, takes risks, and just goofs around. See what I did there? Take care everyone. Sniff out.
In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God?